Alright, God, it's been a couple days. Let's get back into this. Let's go ahead and... Where were we? I know we're on the final trial. Is it this one? This one should be the latest save, right? God, I haven't played since the 20th. God damn, what is wrong with me? Okay, where were we exactly? My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to assumination examination. Very well, the court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately to assumination examination. Right, I think we're defending Gino Lestrade, right? And, we're already backed into a corner. It's like the trial's been started for like 5 minutes. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will explain each on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Yeah, it's already off to a real bad start for us. But let's see how this goes. All the evidence clearly points the finger at guilt of this young pickpocketing. As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at the photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out. If I had left it in there, I should think there would be repercussions by now. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop. In Motherland, we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I'm convinced brothers are innocent. Okay, well, at least he has a reason. His is like, if the brothers are guilty, then therefore the circumstances of the crime and the evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively. The storeroom, locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone. And in the accused's hands, the fatal revolver, the firing of which heard by those witnesses. Not to mention, the sprint. Take it from a chap who's seen action in the battlefield. The young girl's on the verge of pulling the bally trigger. Yeah, she's got bad trigger discipline. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear. Hurley's cameras were supposed to help, not hinder. I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you. Jeannie didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. Which means there's more to this situation than we've yet to see. Agreed. You have the floor, counsel. Proceed with the assumination examination. I actually learned, as I was doing my little trip, I actually read a bit of Sherlock Holmes. I did not realize Gregson was also a reference to one of the detectives in the story. So, all the evidence clearly points the finger at the guilty of this young pickpocketing. Okay, I'm gonna press that statement. I'm gonna press everything I can. You're Mr. Natsumi's landlord, Mr. Garadev, aren't you? We must stop meeting like this. Ah, you're the lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn-up for the books. Yes, rather a turbulent time we'd have had back then. Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that therefore you should change your leanings to not guilty or anything. Huh. Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Gerbeard house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bully soul to take up the tendencies. Oh? I haven't had the heart to break the news to Jonin yet. Not enough the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did rather do a lot, but not for us, that's for dash certain. I suppose not. Of course, there can be no suggestion of that being the reason I'm leaning towards guilty here, obviously. Obviously, but honestly, I really wish he'd paid more attention to the trial and to less to juror number 2. As a housemaid, I would like to see all filthy eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. Polishing the bench, I see. Again, a maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain. What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores? On my way to the market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pickpursers, and crossmen. Scum of the earth. A little harsh, perhaps. Yeah, this isn't unbiased at all. Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those back slums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals. You're referring to Mr. Hairlock Sholmes. That's right. I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading the Rance magazine between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital. Mr. Sholmes, a maid. It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very great detective. Minor detail. It was the two brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant. A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned. Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight anyway. Yes, alright. I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. Hold it! I agree with you. The shooting of Mr. Sholmes was an unforgivable act. But the purposes of this trial is to determine who shot the pawnbroker, Mr. Windibank. I'm afraid you're splitting hairs, sir. Sorry? Whether it was the thieves or the pickpurse, it was still gutter trash that shot the pawnbroker in the end. Filth that should be cleaned up and eradicated, in my considered opinion. Again, this is supposed to be unbiased jury. Not sure how she made it on there. Thanks so much for sharing. Change this maid's mind isn't going to be easy. Weirdo. It was one of those two brothers that shot Hurley, wasn't it? Yes, without question. Well then, I'll never forgive them. Iris. Perhaps we can use this maid's statement to help us somehow, don't you think? Yes, maybe. Let's listen carefully to what each juror says first. I think you'll find if you look at this photograph in stereo, the truth would just pop out. Hold it! What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously. Protection. But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is if you look at the same print in stereo, it can reveal all sorts of new information. By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes? Ooh, how did you know? Let's call it a lucky guess. It never gets old, seeing the two prints merge into one eye before your eyes. It's extraordinary. It's captivating. It's the height of modernity? Of course. Yes, I think you'll find the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives we can only dream of before. It's the greatest the world has ever seen. If only you give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you. If I had left it there, I think there should be repercussions by now. Hold it! What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about leaving something somewhere or something like that. Ah, so sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon. A surgeon? Oh my god, this is gonna come back and... He operated on Holmes, didn't he? Oh no. Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors. Oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains in the field. So, what is it that you think you've left behind? Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday. Standard thing, went through the abdomen. But when I finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere. Did he? Surely not. Exactly, surely not, you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me like this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fellow's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really. It's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter. That's exactly my concern, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly where I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure. I'm sure you need to be more sure. Yeah, I'm gonna say he probably is the one who operated on Holmes. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop. Hold it! Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail streamers take more than a month to complete the journey. Ah, but now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable? On the ocean bed. Makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You are well informed, young lady. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. Just when I was starting to catch up. Radio transmission is future. Stop. Message carried over airways to four corners. Oh, because... Okay, I see. Because she started with the typewriter before, and now she's moving on the... Okay. Excitement growing. Stop. Atmospheric electric. Stop. Right. Try not to wear out your fingers. Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revolution. Stop. And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What other prideful... Can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys. Did you have something to say?
Excuse me.
Juror number 3. Sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? You perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess. Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. I dare you. Goodness. Are you talking to me? I think you just might, yes. You think stereoscopes are just toys, do you, huh? Absolutely. I mean, really. A machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions. Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to demonstrate. Sort of possibilities. Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, they could reveal hidden clues you've never noticed before. What? Have you got any, Rio? Any prints we can look at with a stereoscope? Don't we? I'm pretty sure we do. Because weren't these taken like every 30 minutes or so? How about this print here? Should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you could do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then. I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. Shit. I don't have another print. Wait, sorry. What do you mean, one more print? Oh dear, oh dear. Don't you have these in the Far East? Don't you know how a stereoscope works? Bruno, what? You need 2 photographs for a stereoscope, remember? You know, one for the left eye and one for the right? Oh, yes, I remember now. But the prints we have from the pawnbrokery is just a normal photograph. No. I think you'll find that the clue is in the name. It's a stereoscope, not a monoscope. You always need 2 prints. Thanks for the friendly explanation. Well, if we obtain another print at some point later on in the trial, we can always show it to this young man then. I think you'll find that know-it-all expression is really starting to annoy me. Let's get things back on track, shall we, Council? Okay, so I don't have the necessary information yet. The motherland can never judge by cloak or clothes, judge by head, and I'm convinced brothers are innocent. Please tell you're not a villain Bolshevik. The Russian revolutionary. A revolutionary? Ah, I believe there is such a rumor. It's just a rumor? As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. I look like a vicious criminal. Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out. People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat. And which glove fits? Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please. Right. That didn't sound staged at all. Forgive me for having my doubts. To be treated like a vicious criminal all the time is very painful. People do not realize. So I have much sympathies for these brothers. People say they are criminals only because of how they look. The Skulkin brothers. Ah, maybe they went inside pawnbroker shop, but they've done nothing wrong. That's all I want to say. The Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night. Alright, well first of all, that's one not-so-little misunderstanding I need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Runo? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants in London town, aren't they? Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's been a Russian tourist sitting amongst them who looks all like the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors. The trial will be over. We know that Ginny would never shoot anyone, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and put them against each other. Let's be ready to go with whatever lengths I have to convince them of Gina's innocence. Okay, so we know 2 statements already that we can pit together. Is the... Oh wait, I gotta do, Those brothers are the scum of the earth.
Objection!
Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other. Good lord. Counsel, explain yourself. My statement? Contradictory? Juror number 6. You've got the wrong end of the stick. I do not have stick. I have mouse. As juror number 2 has said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers fled the scene of the crime on the night in question, they fired a shot from the revolver. Yes, they shot Mr. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not going to tell the court now that you didn't hear. Abdomen. Oh, wait. The mouse is reading along with them. That's cute. Sir? Sorry. My English is still learning. You are telling the court you didn't hear? Got a little mouse. Forgive me. I did not hear. Ah, here is word. Abdomen. Part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. Is this what you mean? You should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker. I thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again. So, you're telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? They said before we never done nothing. The truth is they shot detective. Ah, that is double negative. Yes, that's exactly right. Lying is wrong, especially when lie is said by a person who looks like criminal. Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced. This means, when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true? Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so... Enough. I trust no one now. It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir. I must see with my own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself. I'm afraid that won't be Yes, it is, Runo. Easily. Sorry. But the prints from Hurley's red-handed recorder. Ah, if you compare the pictures Jenny in the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Hooey, Mr. Prosecutor. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a simulation examination of all times. The print showing the accused threatening the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and suddenly heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on the film. But the print was processed by the camera half an hour later after the brothers' flight. So this was taken after Hurley was shot then. As far as I can tell, nothing has been taken. Does that seem to be the case? I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print. So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot man, but then they stole nothing. It seems so, yes. Good. No, not good. You were right. I did not understand the situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it's very important to continue a trial. Yay, well done, Runo. The balance is shifting. It's a start, I suppose. But there must be more on what these jurors are saying than I can use to expose the truth. If I can do that, we just might turn the situation to our favor still. Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filled as evidence. Okay, so now we have the second one, right? Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. Yeah, because now we have... In the lake of lies are many dead fish. We must find truth. Therefore, I say not guilty verdict. Okay, hold up. Well, the obvious thing is this here. This broke, right? Was there anything else? Okay. We know the next step is we have to go over here. No, over here, over here. Okay, let's press it. Don't know unless we try. How about the print here? That should do the trick.
Take that!
Alright then. Jeremiah 3. Are you saying you can do this with any two suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then. I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. These two prints were both taken with the same camera and window bank on the night in question. Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer, do you know why stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle? Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in positions of some objects. When your brain merges the two images together inside your head, it notices a shift as if it were depth. Yes, exactly. It's the smallest shift between certain objects in two photographs that's really important. So what happens if you use two photographs that are exactly the same then? No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene three-dimensionally anyway. Oh. Of course, now I see. I think the young girl has discovered the secret. I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? I've been taking a look at these two photographs from Hurley's camera, Runo. Go on. Okay, now that they're side by side, can you see that there's really obvious difference between them? Of course, there are two people in the first and no in the second. Well, yes, you can see that straight away. But now, I'm looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Alright, I'll give it a go. So to start with, you have to cross your eyes, and then try to make the two images overlap exactly. See if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pins from each other overlap to the middle. Wait. Well, did you manage to see it properly, Bruno? I mean, I know the difference that I'm supposed to look at. Or that I see. I don't know what's going on with these two pictures. Some of the things on the counter sort of jump out at you. Wait, what? I like how he just uses the machine. He doesn't have time to cross his eyes. So you see, that's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power? Is someone going to explain this black magic? Why the deuce do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that? I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope? As I said before, if you try to look at two identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's a slight shift in the position of certain objects that lets you see pictures three-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the two pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yes, there must have been. That wasn't even the thing that I was looking at. Because the lamp was broken in the other one. How did that happen? But, okay, just gonna ignore that. Now hold your fire there, sir. Only a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does this shift between the two prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fella? Come on, you cross-eyed master. You're the cross-eyed master. What, me? I have the first idea. You know, Bruno, it's quite simple. It is? Just think it through a step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 a.m. Then, 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly into interim. So that means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with things on the counter. Someone... New information. Stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far. Yes. I've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in the simulation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceivable shift in the items on the counter. But again, none of this is gonna matter. Even if we do name them, the prosecution is gonna be like, we're not here for them, we're here for the murder. There's a witness currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Wait, does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they didn't even have time to pull Dukes from Lucy Lockets. My paraphrase says Dukes meaning hands and Lady Lockets meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is this what you're saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Now hold on a minute. You can't be sure of that. I quite agree. The accused is a common pick-purse after all. It's quite possible she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. But why exactly? As you can see from the photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windibank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. The accused is a pick purse. Common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madame. No better, in fact, worse than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given here by these two thieves? Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair. And you all see now. I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Okay, so that's 3. Wholly agree, stop. Must purchase at the trial, stop. Or return via Regent Street, stop. Well, it would seem this trial has yet to run its course. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations of the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call the summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean guilty, 4 lean not. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus, and I order this trial to continue. Hey, well done. Oh, by the way, what? You should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might become useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. The stereoscope has been entered in the court record. Lord von Zieks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. Again, all he's gotta do is said, who the fuck cares if they stole something? What does it matter? Well, of course they're lying, but at the end of the day, it's not a case of the theft, it's a case of murder. I won myself another chance to probe the pair about their activities at night at least. I won't stop prodding them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. That's terrible. That is terrible. Yeah, that is how juries work nowadays. Alright, let's see where this is gonna go. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. I presume you've heard the defense counsel's summation examination. Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov. I did. Me, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Oh, blimey. This is going to be hard work. Earlier in the trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Winterbanks. What was Bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out of me, Lucy Lockets. However, that was a lie. You brothers. On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. We've never done nothing of the sort. How do you figure that out? You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time, you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Gov. We hear ya. We'll blab, we'll squeak, we'll preach. Legal entry, the whole truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshots, see, made us both jump and all that stuff went flying. I mean, it didn't even give half a fright. We was thinking the shooter came out the door to get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scrambled straight into him in the back. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? So you admit the defense's accusations. You did indeed ransack Mr. Winterbeck's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash. That's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on the hearing of the gunshot, having first made good their mess. The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can you make it sound a bit more cutthroat? Can't just be coincidence. These men showed up at Winterbanks that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place? Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. If we admitted to something like that, people would think we was up to no good. Well said, Ringo. The old China. We'd only land ourselves in even more trouble. And in fact now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Landed yourself in even more trouble. That's rotten luck, says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? More like we tidied the place up. Sorry. It was when we heard the gunshot, see? Made us both jump and all the stuff went flying.
Hold it!
So what are you saying is... the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much you knocked all the things off the counter. Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. Bag of nerves needs to learn to keep its shirt on. Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up with that bang. Big bruv here screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over the counter. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in me, some marionette, which knocked over the picture frame, what knocked over some scales on the floor. You've really mastered working quietly, then. What a racket. Me granny would have been scared back into her grave at the clatter like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some. I mean, it was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, bam.
Excuse me.
Inspector Gregson, you have something to add? Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony. You seem to react just now by what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. Why don't you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night, and the statement they gave told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have. Does ring a bell now you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. Can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a little bit sloppy with your testimony here, right, fellas? I discovered the witness' testimony have been any more sloppy than has heretofore proven to be. I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy. We'll get it right this time. That's it. Yep. It's all coming back to me now. And speak. Supplement your testimony, whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable mind, sirs. Yeah, right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." That's interesting. Because if they were yelling at each other, how did he get shot in the back? Wait, he got shot in the back, right? Unfortunately, I don't have an autopsy report, so how... So in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously. We did, Gov, we did. Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yell and all. If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun. Kind of thing. Career in acting tragically missed. And where was the voices coming from? Could you tell? Of course we could. From the other side of the door behind the counter it was. From the storeroom, where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windibank. On my Grammy's life, of course it was. On his granny's life, of course it was. So, that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windibank and the sound of his voice. So that would mean what? What, Nash, what? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel, indeed it would. No, we didn't know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when that bloke and all the fancy goblins gives us the evil eye? If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. On me granny's life it is. Oh, on his granny's life it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them all over the shop floor. Make it sound like we were clumsy. Don't forget, we tied it up after we like good little boys. Anyway, the way I see it. Okay, so that's gonna be... The bloke what owned the place was holding a gun, so he should have fired instead of yelling at the girl. Wait. Excuse me, what? You're saying that Mr. Windibank had a gun in his hands? Oh yeah. That was a sight, huh? Having the two of them waving guns at each other? Must have gotten pretty heated. I mean, just before shouting out, we heard the geezer say, if you don't want to get shot. Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say. So Windibank was known to keep a revolver or a shop counter at all times. People say to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd rarely put a bullet to in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief. Extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided. Well, it certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger the other night. Only the person was going to shoot him, beat him to it. Cooked is goose proper. But he wished he squeezed the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after these two words that you heard the gunshot. It's more or less the same time, Gov. Yes, a career in acting very tragically missed. Okay. Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck, where everything went dead quiet. After that, we done a slapdash job tidying up the place.
Objection!
So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windibank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? That's it, Gov? Got the picture. Or you got the picture. He is, Nash. He is. No question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windibank was not holding a firearm of any description. You what? Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection!
There could be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Windibank's gun was found at the scene. Not only was it identical as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hands. Yeah, the mole Toller used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun.
Hold it!
Stay exactly where you are, right there. Huh? If the crime had taken place as you've so colorfully described in your testimony, it would give rise to an undeniable yet insignificant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness, are you sure, Counsel? You intrigue me, my learned friend. But let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where's the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments? He was shot in the back, no? I feel like I just presented this.
Take that!
According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, with two events happening almost simultaneously, are we've been led to believe. Yeah, Yes, that's right. Now, if the testimony is true, it would mean at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, if I could ask the court to study the photograph of the victim's body again, you can clearly see that Mr. Windibank was in fact shot from behind. So, as stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. But it's God's honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. When we was shot at that night, the shopkeeper had his gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes. Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windibank holding a gun. Something like that might have slipped out. Ladies and gentlemen, Thank you. You've all just heard the admission by these two witnesses. That on the night in question, they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun, which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person. Nash, Witnesses, explain yourselves at once. Well, the thing is, they weren't supposed to, It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witnesses would be the death of you. Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies? Ever so sorry, Governor. We, Cut it out, Nash. Cut it out. We blab. Know what they'll do to us. He? What are you talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There's no other option available to you. Ruff, come on. The game's up. You'll have our guts regardless. In case it hasn't sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it was now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand you testify again to explain the precise circumstances in which this meeting took place. Well, do we have to? On the pain of death, I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. Alright, so we just got inside the gap and leaped to a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and he flew at us like we was possessed. Thought we'd had it. For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. Pulled my gun on him, and he legged it through that door into the back room. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's what happened, I swear. So you're telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop? Well, yeah. Sorry. Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably. But honest, Governor, this time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. Grab something real quick. plane. Okay, counter with the victim. Alright, so we just got inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Why were you relieved to see you were... Okay. When you say geezer, I'm assuming you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windibank. Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. He was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. But we never thought no one was going to come out of the back room like that. The back room being the pawnbroker's storeroom. Yeah, that must have been when he popped up from. Only place he could have been. So it seemed the victim was already in the store when these brothers entered the premise. Which means Ginny must have been in there at the time as well. Doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windibank in the storeroom with her gun at gunpoint, why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? Oh, I don't know. Did you see the accused at all that time? What? That Multuller? No, couldn't tell you. No way, Copper. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and he flew at us like we was possessed. Thought we had it. You mentioned that Mr. Windibank shouted these words in your previous testimony, too. However, you claimed that he heard him yelling at them at the other side of the storeroom door. Oh, did we? But the truth is, he was shouting at those words at you, wasn't he? Well, yeah. Was the victim Mr. Windibank wielding a gun at the time? Was never, Limey Lummy. The great ugly barrel he had pointed straight at me frontispiece. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windibank had the gun at the time, is that right? It is, Gov, it is. Spot on. And all of a sudden, he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I don't know what was going, who was going for who. You were clearly all going for each other. Like Nash said, we thought we had it. I mean... For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter. Yes, I know that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too. Well, yeah, of course we did. He knocked over a load of books and a candlestick and some skull whatnot. That got me tangled in some marionette, which knocked over the picture frame, which knocked over them scales on the floor. So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shook you and made you knock those things off the counter. Well, Big Bruv here went flying over the counter like a gunshot, I can tell you. Then the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nash, he did. If he hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a bloomin' pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was arrived to the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There was a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. Right. When the brothers fled the scene and back into the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Poor Mr. Windibank. He did everything he could to protect the shop. I pulled me gun on him and then he legged it to the front that, then he legged it for that door in the back room. Are you intending to shoot Mr. Windibank? No, never. I was just, you know... looking out for me bruv, wasn't I? He would have been flattened, don't forget. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then, the man fled into the storm when you pointed your gun at him, is that it? Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away and then ran off through that door and shut himself in. Something about the last remark. It doesn't quite ring true. Why would Mr. Windibank ran away into the storeroom? What? Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him, with a gun. Yes, that's right. Ginny allegedly used Mr. Windibank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windibank's hand again? I have no idea, but it is strange, isn't it? This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. But the point is, you and Bruv here... That's right, Nash, that's right. You and Bruv here... We never had nothing to do with the killing, that's what happened, I swear. Let me press the last statement just to make sure.
Hold it!
You say you had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was, from the inside. We know it was, because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was the only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade. But it dare appear so. What say you say to that, counsel? I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Windibank? I don't think I have any information yet. He's right. Gina's the only one. There's no one else in the room. With an attitude like that, Bruno, it really will be all over. A 10-year-old is reading the expression on my face. Well, you just don't have that many. Wide-eyed, sweating, smug, and happy. That's about it. Surely there's more than that, isn't there? Anyway, I think you might want to consider some other possibilities here. Or rather, I think you should have to. Otherwise, we won't be getting anywhere. Or rather, you won't get anywhere. I'm just here for moral support, I remember. It's at times like this that I really appreciate it the most. Okay. So that's all these brothers are willing to reveal at this time, is it? They're still hiding something, don't you think? Yes, I'm sure of it. And not just a minor detail either. It's almost certainly because of these two, that poor Mr. Windibank. Well, I can't let them get away with it, Bruno. I know, but I get the feeling there's even less evidence at my disposal this time to prove that they did it. We've come so far. Now it's time to finish them off. Do my best. I mean, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Wasn't there like a window in the door? And if they could open the window, couldn't they shot him even through the door?
Hold it!
Could have been. Let's go with the could have been. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. What? What's that look for? From the moment you admitted that you've encountered the victims face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely. It did? What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windibank? It is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to the plan of this premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answers to the question who shot the man could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect to the two conundrums. Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe. Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Understood, my lord. Are you alright, Runo? I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. Right here, right? Because we know there's a window in, there's a window in the door. The defense believes the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. And to answer the second question, assuming the culprit fired the location indicated, where was the victim at the time? Just on the other side of the door.
Take that!
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom. Continue. Mr. Winnebago died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom. Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony, I pulled my gun on him, and it legged it for that door into the back room. If Mr. Winnebago ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time. It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life. That the brothers had a perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom. Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? Moving on to the findings of the Scotland Yard's coroner, the report states the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Poor man, shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety. Of course, he would have been leaning forward as he was running away, so even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory. So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Winnebago. I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten. The storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. He claimed the victim was shot as he fled into the room. You also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? But what if someone else locked the door? Yes, there's someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from the outside the storeroom. In which case, who shut and locked the storeroom door from the inside? That would probably be Gina, right? Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room. For what possible reason? What actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck? I mean, if you just heard a gunshot, wouldn't you lock the door? I'm inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel? Yes, that's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please. But of course, Jeannie would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Well, if I was Jeannie in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Yes, obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Winnebago were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went between them at the time, but at some point, Mr. Winnebago must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv. And if your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back to the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Hit in the back by a bullet, Mr. Winnebago fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And that's what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment? I see where you're going with this. Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windibank. As soon as that thought struck Mr. Strahd, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life.
Hold it!
But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we never shoot no one. That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would, because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Hairlock Sholmes. There's only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder. Where does this leave us? You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? Should have known it was those three brothers. Look at Shay's dense forest. It's amazing, Runo. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now. No, first time ever, and probably the last. Well, I think you've done it. Surely they have to give a verdict of not. An admirable effort, my learned friend. What's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord Von Zieks. I myself find the defense's argument not most persuasive. I dare say, such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation, but such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than excusable pettifoggery here? What? The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly credibly cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw. A fatal flaw? Do you mean to tell me that you are unaware of your logic's failings? I say, Lord Von Zieks, it might be an idea to explain this bally conjuring trick or whatever it is to the troops on the ground, The fatal flaw is my learned friend's argument is really simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets. George, count bullets? Oh dear. He noticed then. What's everyone talking about? Counsel. Yes, sir? Tell the court, how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime? Two. 2 bullets. Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back and ending his life. The second, that would have struck the detective, Mr. Hairlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed, the defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appeared to pass through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know that there are 2 firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windibank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each. Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these 2 brothers shot Mr. Hairlock Sholmes right before your eyes. Yes, I did. My goodness. I think you'll find that if a single bullet was fired from the brothers' gun hit Mr. Sholmes, it means Windibank's not shot by same gun stopped. Only 1 bullet stopped. Exactly. Yes. This Nipponese street performer presented an ostensibly credible argument, however. It was never anything more than a diversionary trick with no hope of standing up to scrutiny. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hallowed nectar into the public gallery. Lord Von Zieks. But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can, regrettably, no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond the shadow of a doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. A disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is of Mr. McGilda's down to the yard, thank you very much. No, don't. Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to Mr. McGilda has to be taken in as evidence now. Yes, that music box disc. Mr. McGilda's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windibank, the accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. With none more than the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add. But by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious. Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There's no depths the girl would not stoop if pushed, no crime she would not commit. The court forgets the facts at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the court defendant's character. Lord Von Zeeks, Inspector Gregson? What? Yes, Inspector. We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What's this all about? Why is the Inspector acting strangely? It's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all. I'm unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top. The governor bigwigs were insistent. Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed, bailiff, the music box disc has been entered into court record. The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decision and rest my case. Believe it, I had the jury on my side for once, for all of 5 minutes. Oh dear, it wasn't even for 5 minutes, Bruno. My lord. Wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling in a bit of a fog up till now, if truth be told, but all of a sudden... The answer's barely obvious for me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh no. Very well, the court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
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 God damn it again. We have a consensus among the jury, it seems. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. How dare you use it against us? Don't worry, Iris. I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one more thing I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windibank. It's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination of the day. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? The Narrative Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Okay, we're doing this again. Let's see, once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. As only 2 bullets were found at the scene, I would say the whole case is done and dusted. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every which way you look at it, it was that pickpocket. I never imagined that simple operation could cause me such grief. The accused attempted a thief on the previous day. I could see I could see I'm in for a busy day ahead. I'm a ballistic expert. I've seen many shootings. There's nothing I don't know about guns. None of that helps me. None of it helps me. It would seem there's a little remaining room for doubt. I have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. But when that fell apart like a house of cards, I saw I'd jolly well been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair, Iris. The prosecutor's being mean. Just because Jenny's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past doesn't make her a murderer. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Alright, let's see what we can do. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed.
Hold it!
Just because Miss Lestrade has been a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder? Is that what you're saying? Well, are you all members of the British Army so quick to judge? I beg your pardon? Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a different soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Yes, I have a point there, I suppose. Let's not forget, the girl had already shown she had it in her from before. She clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it. When you say she had shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, Or am I mistaken? Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that. Never actually seen the real thing. Can't wait to have a closer look at it. Yes, of course. Oh, maybe we should take a quick look at that, huh? Oh, Bruno, look. This is blood. Yes, you're right. Just a small smear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. And it's my time to shine again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Alright, hold still that disc. Get this done quickly, Iris. In a flash. Oh, a lovely bright shade again. Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green. It's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? Well, that changes things, doesn't it? Because holy shit. What does that tell us now? Okay, so we believed that the bullet that shot Mr. Sholmes ended up in the calendar. However, if that can't be the case anymore. Because we know who this blood belongs to. We saw when it happened, right? It's this guy's blood. Which means he was at the scene and yeah, now this changes everything. Mr. Sholmes used the caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? And then ordered every type of music box he could find across Europe. We still don't know what tune it plays, though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. Mr. McGilden's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it more in detail. Okay, I'm gonna press every statement, but that just basically uncovered the entire fucking thing. It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired him have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although, yes, sometimes after dinner, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose if there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. There are bullets somewhere at the scene. Could that have been possible? No, that's not possible. We have another answer. Unfortunately, only 2 bullets were discovered by the police during their investigation. Yes, I know. I don't imagine a good man at Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. If I missed a bullet while I was cleaning her lordship's office, well... I should receive the sound scolding, I doubt. He should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. It sounds like a crime scene to me. A 3rd bullet. Completely turn things around if there was one, wouldn't it? Do you think we might find one lying around somewhere? Oh, wait a minute. But how do we prove it? Okay. We might be able to prove the 3rd bullet. So we can probably change that one right away. Because if this blood is not Hairlock's, where did the bullet that hit him go?
Hold it!
I can prove it. Allow me to show you, then, the 3rd bullet.
Take that!
I am... This was this... Oh my god, come on. In what way does it resemble a bullet if that helps your understanding my last remark? I can see the end result, I just don't have the pieces linking to it. Let's actually try to find a 3rd bullet before we attempt that again, Runo. You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Which way you look at it, it was the pickpocket.
Hold it!
So if I understand correctly, you need 2 pictures, a left eye and a slightly different right eye one. Exactly. Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions. This. So if you have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person you could have shot the victim is the girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? It's a waste of time. I'm not gonna change this man's mind anytime soon. Alright. Let's press him on that. Would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it's nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. Huh? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but the surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on... What was the fellow's name now? Henrik? No, Hairlock? No, Hairlock? Hairlock Sholmes, by any chance. Yes, good lord. It was that Hairlock fellow. You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes. That's right, using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It's fairly major op, I can tell you. This is crazy. Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. He said he'd been shot by some criminal or another, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find a bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. I hate to state the obvious, but... yes. Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. The counsel for the defense is correct. As is clearly shown in the photographic print, the bullet Mr. Skulkins fired at Mr. Holmes hit him in the stomach region, and then exited his body and lodged in the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find it's really quite simple if you just consider the problem third-dimensionally. Who do you think I am, son? Well, juror number 4 is about the best I could do. As soon as I saw the wound in the man's stomach, I flipped him over. Like a pancake? Are you saying you checked his back? Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign of the bullet had left the body at all. What? That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I've said about slicing him up. And I'm still none the wiser, even now. How many times do I have to say it? Could someone please explain how it happened? Could someone please solve the mystery? It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. The mystery of where the bullet ended up is infuriating. Where was an expert when you see them? Okay, so we can pit that one against this one, right?
Objection!
What? How the fuck can you... There are a lot of questionable characters in the Garrett Squadron. You might have to listen to what they have to say a few times before it starts to make sense. Pressing anything that sounds suspicious, but still, should we really be labeling members of the jury as questionable? Oh, it's so annoying. When you can see the pieces, you know the end result, but, okay.
Hold it!
What do you mean, you're in for a busy day? Forget to say, stop. Excuse me, stop. I'm a communications officer, stop. Communications officer? Do you have to do something with sending telegrams? Everything from personal messages written by the members of the public to the latest news in the capital. I convert all the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the entire world electronically. To the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable under the sea, stop. Worldwide communication network, stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe, stop. Yes. She was getting equally worked up about radio waves or the like before, wasn't she? I specialize in communication information from the governmental departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of today's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine. Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? I am ballistics expert. I've seen many shooting. There's nothing I don't know about guns. I thought you were just a tourist. Good day. I'm visiting London for sightseeing. I'd like to take the bus to Crystal Tower, please. There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So, you're a ballistics expert. Who knew? I have much experience with guns. I have lived through many, how you say, extreme, violent path of... No, blood of, extremely violent bloodbaths, perhaps. Ah, those. Extremely violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue. Considering the sort of person you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue. Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know, no mystery I cannot solve. He's very confident about his knowledge of guns, that's for sure. But, if possible, please, only in Russian tongue. He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? Now, still, we should bear with it in mind. He's our man if there's a mystery about guns or... Oh, okay, so I gotta press that one first. Van Zieks had managed to convince everyone. You have eliminated the impossible, he said. But he hasn't. If we're gonna fight back, we need more material. If we have to fight back, we have to turn this trial around again. Okay. Let's pit that one, and that one.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that... Wait. The idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other. What? A ballistic expert? Pitting... On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there are no signs of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, a bullet was found lodged into the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6. Hello, my name is Violin. Pleased to meet you. This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery? I have seen very similar situations in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away from Mountain Road in freezing cold. Golly. Snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. The pursuers had hunting rifles and were on dog sleds. Mental note, don't ask too many questions. I was shot from behind, and I fell down in the snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from Doctor. They could not find bullet in my body, and no signs of how you say, exit wound. Then where did the bullet go? The bullet never hit me. Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down? The bullet hit frozen wall of ice very close to my side. What? One small piece, very sharp, broke away from a lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looked like bullet wound. Good gracious. Of course, a piece of ice quickly melted inside of me. That solution to mystery of disappearing bullet. But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker shop, not some bloody snowy mountain road in another country. Just an idea, but we might not be looking exactly the same scenario here. You know, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in the stomach. Sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in investigations. What? Really? Doctor, where's the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing? Well, the Bell had nothing like that on his person when he arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember. If I may? Lord Van Zieks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I had the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom. Sorry? As I understand it, when the police arrived at the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouches in order to assess the wound. Thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for the moment. Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. While extremely unconventional during a summation examination, I must demand the prosecution present the items in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes' pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that. One of the vials is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the vial exploded. Exploded? So that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun had struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was a glass vial exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate victim, but was deflected into wall of shop. delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bludgeoning brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of the case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Due to it bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will requested the scruffy pouch as evidence. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. Okay, that's been into the court record. Now, the summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion. Please, my lord. A little more time. Oh, that new piece of evidence could be a very valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here, Ryunosuke. There's still a way to turn this around, somehow. I'm gonna save real quick, because it has been a little bit. Okay, the obvious answer is that the bullet hole that's in the calendar came from Windibank's gun, which then it means it can have been used in the murder, which leaves the Skulkin brothers' gun as the murder weapon. That's where this is gonna go, but how I get there is the problem.
Hold it!
Look, there's a hole here at the back. This must look like a bullet hole, but clearly something's ripped through their leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow, Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind. Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? It's really scorched badly just here. The strap is buckled. Look, so where the bullet hit, then let me see. What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file is, do you see it? That's the Skulkin brothers' bullet. Stroker looked at it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Windibanks that night. Found exactly what the juror was talking about. A 3rd bullet. Time to press the juror again, I think. Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question at Windibank's pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired. What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital, and since then it has been touched by no one. You mean to say, the shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night? Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photographic print. The 2 guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Windibank and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from this crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. While the summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. as is my prerogative at this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter. What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. Witnesses. Governor, were you listening to the proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we could dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Gov? I don't make nothing of nothing, if I can help it. Is it one of yours? Blimey, Gov, blimey, not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? Never. The Skulkin brothers work alone. It's just the two of us. That's our trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? I mean, that's a head-scratcher. Counsel for the defense. Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from whence it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear that the third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. They had a secret accomplice. On that night at Windibake's pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun.
Objection!
An accomplice, you say? Pig swell. These projected proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations, and yet all that time there has been not a murmur of a third man, as apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of the spurious character. The Skulkins are lying, I know that. But, how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel, I'm supposed to prove the existence of this accomplice, and reveal the person's identity even. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is ready to present answers. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers to the prosecution's demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if I'm to make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would like to ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, in the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you to say there was a third intruder present at the scene? Okay. This is where we had presumed the bloodsteed.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. Jove, that portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of these blood samples proves the presence of a third intruder. Well, which one is it? Okay.
Take that!
What am I looking at here? This appears to be some greenish paint or some such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a blood stain, my lord. Blood stain? Green blood. Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand the intruder was some unhuman creature? It's something developed by Herlock Sholmes. By the great detective. New invention. Stop. Not yet appeared in stories. Stop. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet, though. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with different elements in people's blood to change its color. Different elements of people's blood? Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see, because it's made up of different elements. By seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Ooh, that brings a whole extra dimension to looking at blood. Talking of blood in courtroom, stop. Very exciting, stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Windibank. A striking blue. Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shot. Now hold there. Hold fire there, young man. Could be from some unrelated incident, couldn't it? No, it's not unrelated. Because the calendar date changed. The date showing the calendar is the date on which Mr. Windibank was killed. Golly. Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot at the same day. Then whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. A third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay us any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder?
Take that!
The man's name is Egbert Benedict. Egbert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, counsel? He paid a visit to Windibank's pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession. That's right. The man identified by the defense, Mr. Egbert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force. Broker. Yes, sir? I believe this filthy pickpocket has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, the article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say, any music box discs, too. Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc. Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. There's more or less what happened. In the interest of being thorough, I asked Windibank for a print showing the fellow. Taken for once from this red-handed recorder, Gobness? Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Windibank that morning. And you claim that this man is the brother's accomplice. Well, Mr. Skulkin, never seen that geezer before in my life. On my life, Gov, on my life. Never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprising, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Japanese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice. Yes, and I can. Then show us the evidence. I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in the photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is. This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. And now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court, then, counsel? Yes, my lord. The defense will present the evidence now. Proof that the man pictured in the photographic print was, in fact, the person struck by the third bullet. Again, we just have to present this. The proof is right here, in this portfolio. Gracious counsel, does that performer contain the answers to every possible question posed? I see you share my interest in claret-colored liquids, my Nipponese friend, but... Enough. The court demands to see further evidence. Which blood sample proves the man you identified was the one shot by the third bullet at the scene of the crime?
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim the disc from the Windibanks, which is when the aforementioned Egbert Benedict appeared at the scene, I believe. The man attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no? That's correct, my lord. I myself was present at the time. I was following this, a minor incident occurred. But of course, sir, here's the disc for you. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it contains small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's finger to bleed. As a result, a smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness. Bloodstain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom. Using my trusty fogger gun. Yes. And we added the results to the portfolio. I say, it's green. It's exactly the same color as the blood found around the calendar. The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Egbert Benedict, who was in Mr. Windibank's earlier in that day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that same night. So there was someone else there. Those two brothers now, they're sweating buckets. Why, what are you talking about? It's boiling in here. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Egbert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It certainly seems that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. A flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Sherlock Holmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. A protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection of such. And now you employ chemical substances devised to this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land. Do you expect us to take you seriously? Samples made of this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. So the bloodstain turned into a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world can turn the same color. Well... And pray, don't even try to think of suggesting we should take Mr. Shum's word for it. Is he right? Is Mr. Shum's concoction a load of rubbish? I don't know. I mean, he is a great detective. What are you talking about? You can't let him get away with that. I knew it would come to this. Of course Mr. Shum's invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have? I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the sumination examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it? Good grief. What did you just say, young girl? In the sumination examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what the certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now. Yes, she's right. Young lady, you have a quite devious mind. It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these lads and ladies, gentlemen of the jury, are convinced by what you say, Runo. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something? Unbelievable. Mr. Shum's partner is a force to be reckoned with. Iris Wilson, sharpshooter. After that shrewd presses of the situation from an entirely unexpected source. It must be acknowledged that the previous sumination examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you would come to this fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in one turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty!
Not guilty.
Two called guilty and 4 called not guilty. Such is the outcome of the sumination examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept this decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction derived by the pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Von Zieks, but the outcome of the simulation examination cannot be ignored. The trial will continue. Get fucked.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, just get fucked. We find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested a subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? The name of the gentleman gave for himself, Egbert Benedict, is quite clearly false. I don't believe it. Just when I managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who is that, please? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5. What do you have to say, madame? If possible, Inspector. Me? I wonder if you might show the photographic print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown. Right, yes, this one you mean. Of Mr. Benedict. Yes, there's no doubt in my mind. Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man? Yes, I know him. What? Good gracious. Again, none of these jurors are unbiased in any way, shape, or form. Juror number 5, how on earth... I'm a communications officer, stop. As we can clearly see, the gentleman in the photograph is stop. Also a communications officer, stop. He works in my office, stop. Very talented operator, in fact, stop. He should be in the communication station now, stop. Tapping away on the telegraph, stop. This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on why, but it doesn't feel right. I suppose we all imagine the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's been unexpected to find out he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night. Yes, I suppose that's it. So I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at the London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Von Zieks, if you please. Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste. Yes, as your lordship forbids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson? Yes, my lord? I should like to hear from you specifically about the events of the pawnbroking day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m. Gina, how are you holding up? I'm starting to feel quite warmly towards your frequent cold shoulders now. Jenny, are you alright? Why aren't you saying anything? Actually, you know what? This is probably a good point to stop. It's been 2 hours before we get involved into the next chapter of this. I'll just call it there and save it for next time.